It's 7 o'clock on Thursday, February 19th, and I'll bring the Finance Committee meeting to order. This is a hybrid meeting and it is being recorded. I have with me in the room from the Finance Committee, Dean Nahata, Sandy Olderman, John Cross, Gar Morse, Lloyd Creighton, Peter Twine, and myself, Sarah Mellish. We also have in the room the Town Administrator, Tony Barletta, the Finance Director, Andrea Mainville, and from the Select Board, John Round. My hope today is that we will get through most of the remaining town budgets.
What's up?
My hope for today is that we'll get through most of the remaining town budgets.
Swiftly.
Swiftly. The first item on the agenda is the assessor and the building department. Are you gonna explain that for us, Tony?
Oh, well, Michelle is with us via Zoom as well. Michelle,
Oh, I see her, okay, yep,
she couldn't be here in person.
okay.
But she is prepared to speak to the assessor's office, and a memo was sent out to you.
Yes,
The biggest change that Michelle will speak to, that we're supportive of, is the staffing position in this, the full-time assistant in this department does both assistant to the assessor and assistant to inspectional services. We're looking to divide that into two separate positions. And our proposal for funding that change is through an increase in the inspectional services permit fees. And I have data about how we compare to other towns and how that can be done, but speak to that when we get to building, to inspectional services.
okay. Do you have any comments to make, Michelle?
Apparently not.
Well, she's unmuted. Are you there, Michelle? Can you see your name?
Let's see here. Does she have rights to?
No great night's rights needed.
No rights to.
No, she just says
Says,
to
are we
unmute.
on? I can't hear anything.
What?
She says, are we on? I can't hear anything. Yes, we are on. Which needs to
Turn
on
on your
off, on back
speaker.
on.
Turn off your volume.
Gail, are you out there? Can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. At least I know we're working.
Can I ask a question for Andrea while we're waiting?
Yeah.
On the 2025 revenue is 387,
For
It
what?
went-
Are you talking about?
for the assessor.
Okay,
Yeah, page, no, it doesn't have a page number, but it's the first page of the assessor, second page. Page
that's-
29,
that's building department revenue. That's
assessor
what-
general fund revenues, it says.
But it's, if you look at it, it's all building
Right.
department.
Is that projected to go up this year?
That's what Tony was talking about. We'll talk about it when we get to the building department. We're doing the assessor right now,
Okay.
okay?
Is she on?
She must be relaxed. And Ann Harrison has
Just
joined
signed
us.
out.
Yeah, close. Sign off.
I think she
sign on.
signed out to sign back in to see if that'll work for her.
Can I talk a little bit more about how this might be an opportunity to use someone within the department to rotate them in to help as opposed to hiring someone new? Promote flexibility versus hiring someone new, I guess, is a mantra I would like to look at.
Okay, I think the challenge is we don't have bodies to move around.
Well, if this is a clerical thing, which it doesn't sound like it is, it sounds like we need boots on the ground to watch what CST is doing.
No, it's
Basically,
not anything to do with
inspector.
CST.
Well, are we trying to hire an inspector to,
No,
no,
we're talking about having, currently we have one administrative assistant covering both the assessor's office and the building department.
mhm,
And they're talking about having two people because there's too much work for the person to do both, and we need somebody in town hall answering people's questions when they want to file a building permit, because they don't know what they're supposed to do, and we have a part-time building inspector.
right. Well, maybe the assistant clerk could learn that task.
What assistant clerk?
The assistant town clerk, you know, could answer
We don't
questions.
have an assistant, oh, in the
Oh,
town clerk's office? She's full-time.
right, but she's supposed to be taking down the archive stuff, and is that a priority over? the-
She's answering all of the questions of the public so that the town clerk can do projects. So
Can she learn to answer the questions here too, I guess is. I mean,
Not to
I'm
be,
trying to cut down costs, that's all.
she needs to totally, they need to totally understand the bylaw, the zoning bylaw,
Yeah,
if they're gonna answer questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
you're not, I don't disagree that, you know, having an inspector that had more time here in Manchester or another part-time inspector, that we would benefit from that, but that's not part of this proposal.
Okay, that's something else,
Um,
yeah.
This is more about the full-time assistant duties within the assessor's office and within inspectional services. And right now, the one staff person is being divided into two separate responsibilities, and we're not as efficient as we can be.
No.
It's not something that another position, no other position has free time to share with other.
But we hired this person within the past 3 years,
no,
right? And
we,
it reached capacity that fast.
we had two people there.
Yeah.
And they were merged into one person when they were hiring the land clerk, because the land clerk was supposed to be doing this.
Mhm.
But the land clerk is over in Seaside One, and apparently is busy supporting all of the boards that she has to support.
Mhm.
Yeah, land use is extremely busy between planning, Concom, ZBA, Affordable Housing Trust, Historical Commission.
So that's kind of the challenge. I guess Michelle isn't gonna be able to connect. Is that what the situation is?
It taps into letting the
Next Thursday.
citizens do their own minutes, as opposed to.
What?
Well, that other proposal to let us do our own minutes, pay someone $50 to do the minutes, would tap into, we would free up a lot of administrative.
The minutes are being done via AI out of the recordings.
I know, and it's been a problem, hasn't it?
I feel like we're getting off topic.
Okay, well, I was waiting for the assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I get
I was
it.
trying to fill time.
But if she's not gonna be able to join us, why can we?
See,
Yeah.
well, so hopefully this will work.
I guess I don't understand what the assessor's office does, why they need so much support.
And I'd love to know a little more about the history. I'm afraid I don't know the comings and goings of this position. I gather by the memo that maybe there was an earlier time when the staffing was different, or 20, yeah.
Michelle, can you come off mute?
Oh, there she is. She's red now, not green.
Yeah.
So she's back on, but no, she still can't hear us.
Let's see if she can try calling in. Well, I definitely want Michelle to speak to what it is, you know, to talk at length as to all the different responsibilities,
Yeah,
you know, that go beyond, you know, the valuation of properties and keeping track of new growth and making sure that we're capturing that tax revenue that comes in under that. Certainly, there's a number of other, beyond just property, you have motor vehicle and personal property tax, and then there's all sorts of abatements that occur throughout the year, throughout all the billing cycles and paperwork that has to be done related to that. As I said, Michelle can speak to it a lot more eloquently than I can.
Can I suggest, should we move on to a different budget item and come back when she's joined us, or do we feel like we can get through it?
I guess the question is do people have questions?
I just have a question, is this an additional full-time person, or is this, okay. So this is a new hire, so it's a new full-time equivalent
That's my understanding,
with
is that correct?
benefits, everything.
And currently, there's a person doing supporting the assessor's office and the building department. And it's my understanding that that person would be supporting the assessor and a new person would be hired to support the building department, is that accurate?
Whether the person, the person who works there now would move to one or the other,
Okay.
it's an option.
Okay.
But,
You don't
yeah,
know.
well, you'd be creating a new position, a new full-time position there. And the additional the funding would come from revenue through building permit fees.
Right.
Just,
I mean, they have to update the value every 10 years or something, there's a minimum
No,
requirement.
it's gotta be held at market rate every year,
Every year they have to,
but she doesn't,
is that by state mandate?
yes. But the
Yes.
recertification is every
This
10 years.
is-
Hi,
No
Michelle.
kidding, 10 years, yeah. That's what I thought.
Hello, I can't see anyone, but I can hear, so
Okay,
I'm on.
good.
Michelle, can you start by, briefly talking about all the different responsibilities within your office? And then we were starting to get down into the discussion about needing to split the assistant position into two.
Yes, so the assessor's office is responsible for yearly valuation based on sales. We make changes to assess values on a yearly basis. We are also required to see every property in town at least every 10 years. We see the properties a lot more often due to building permits, and we keep up with that requirement through cyclical inspection. In addition to the assessed values, we handle motor vehicle excise abatements, boat billing, we have senior exemptions, we have form of lists that we mail out and we collect the data for the businesses in town. We also send out information about income and expense properties. Those are the properties that rent out and then have leases, and we do an income approach on those commercial properties and condos. And then it's a whole slew of other responsibilities that we deal with on a daily basis.
So I would right away say, instead of doing assessment on a yearly basis, could we do it every other year and free up some time to do this other stuff? I mean, what would that be an option?
The
Michelle,
values have to be certified by the Department of Revenue on a yearly basis, and if we start to skip years, the Department of Revenue does not like that idea. All assessors in the state of Massachusetts do their assessed values on a yearly basis.
They don't like it, but it has to be done every 10 years, right?
No, the
Okay.
inspections and the data verification have to be done every 10 years.
Okay,
Assessed values are changed every year,
every year.
yeah.
And that could be just a
It's a lot more uniform and smooth, and we stay within the DOR's requirements when we do the assessed valuation on a yearly basis, and that's the expectation from the state.
go ahead, Andy.
Michelle, could you kind of briefly explain your process that you have now with the assistant you have access to versus what you're proposing?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what the process is with
So-
the assistant?
Yeah, so your current standing with the assistant that you have part-time, that process versus what you're proposing.
So my assistant, she is with me and together we work on assessing inspectional services, and I do mostly GIS. She doesn't really get involved with GIS so much. Unfortunately right now, because the building department keeps growing and it's becoming busier and busier from one year to the next, and you can see that from the fees that we're collecting and the increases in those fees from year to year. Terry spends, I would say, 85% of her time on building department. So I am the assessor and I do most of my own support that is actually listed under the assistant's responsibilities. She doesn't have the time to do it, so I do it, which leaves me with less time to do my own job. Up until 4 years ago, for the last 26, 28 years, the assessor had a full-time assistant, and things were moving along smoothly. And since 4 years ago, when the positions were combined, it has become a hardship, which I discussed with the previous town administrator pretty much in every quarterly meeting that I had with him. So he was fully aware of what was going on.
So the difference now is that the building department's demands are much greater. Therefore, the model that we've been working with the last few years no longer accommodates your needs.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
in 2020, there was 685 permits issued.
Okay.
That jumped to 870 in 2021, 200 more. And it's consistently stayed in that range. It increased to 964 in 2024 and 828 last year. So in the last 5 years, it's the demand on the inspectional service side has
Right.
grown significantly.
So it's really not a change in the assessor's responsibilities or processes, it's a change over in the inspectional
It's
service.
that we have more need in the inspectional
Right.
services side that's causing the assistant not
So-
to not have time for
In
the
cal-
assessor side.
You would expect.
Yeah, in calendar year 2020, we had 685 permits and the fees collected were 183,942. In 2025, the fees collected were 593,985. And so the permitting side requires a lot of hands-on help from the administrative assistant. The contractors need help, they pull permits on the wrong property, so we have to change those over and correct them. She has to help the contractors upload their paperwork when they can't do so. There are issues where sometimes the font or the language being used in applications for the permit does not come through correctly, so she has to go through and correct all of that. And also the integration with the assessor's database doesn't always work, so we have to have IT jump in to correct certain issues so that the integration flows smoothly and the permits that are issued on a daily basis enter the assessor's database correctly, and that doesn't always happen. So the process sounds great if it works well, but it doesn't always work well, so it necessitates support.
So does that mean that we really ought to be looking at something in the inspectional services in terms of its staffing? I mean,
Well, that's-
I
yeah,
understand
that's
it's got an
basically what it
implication here,
is.
yes, I understand. But is there something broader in terms of inspectional services that ought to be rethought at the same time?
Well, that's what we're doing. That's why we're we're proposing inspectional services fees to support this new position. So you're breaking the position into two, but it's really being created in the inspectional services side.
Okay,
And are the,
So
The
the
fees
process is time consuming. OpenGov is the standard system in the industry, so most communities are going with OpenGov because among the permitting softwares, OpenGov seems to be the one that works the best, but it's not 100%. So I'm not sure that anything can be done at that end. And, also the projects that we have coming into town are larger homes that require more inspections, more contacts between departments, contacts with the inspectors. So it's just time consuming. It's not anything unusual. It's just the way it is.
Go ahead, Andy.
so two-part question. One was the fees that you talked about, increasing those would be intended to cover the fully loaded position cost?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and then the second question was, is the assessor's office need, is it a full 40-hour a week position?
It's 35.
33 and a half.
33 and a half.
Which is full-time.
But does it need to be that much if she's saying 85% of the time is with the inspectional?
As far as how, could it be a little bit less than, I think,
20 hours a week or whatever it is, so you don't pay benefits, whatever that.
I don't know if I would go that far.
Okay,
It may not be a full 33 and a half for each position, but I don't know if I would go less than 20. I don't know if I would go that far in each position.
You get one of them to be 20.
Yeah.
yeah.
Certainly, 1.5 is better than 1. And then looking at the rates, sorry, Dean, go ahead.
No.
Sorry, Sarah.
I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
Just, we took a look at the rates of a lot of neighboring communities. So we charge $6 per $1,000 for a permit fee. The high end is $15.30. The average is $11.07. The low end is $5. So we are, compared to our neighboring communities, aside from Rockport, which is at $7, we're still significantly lower than the standard. We haven't increased, I was talking to Paul today, he said we haven't increased rates since the day he started, which I don't know how many years ago that was, but
So maybe we should do that regardless of whether we.
So what do we increase?
Why don't we
them to?
increase them?
So for the cost, raising it from $6 to $9 would probably be enough to bring in enough revenue to cover this cost. Generally speaking, $1 increase would produce $20,000 to $30,000 in revenue.
Why don't you go up to the average?
Well, we also try to justify the fee to the cost of the department. We obviously bring in significantly more revenue than the cost of inspectional services. Most towns are like that. We certainly could increase it to try to get to go to the average, to catch up to speed with our neighboring towns. But just so you know, we only need to bring it up $2 or $3 to cover this request.
understand, yeah. And is there any benefit, understanding 85% of the position is now focused on inspectional service, that leaves 15%, is there any, if we went to half-time, and then with the 15, there still could be some assistance from the inspectional services full-time person, I think. Is that realistic, or am I causing more trouble with that concept?
I think that, in my personal opinion,
Yeah.
I think that inspectional services today doesn't have somebody available who can answer as many residents' questions as need to be answered regarding what they need to do beyond just the building permit
I see.
stage. They don't know, They have,
COMCOM or the planning
Yeah.
board process or the ZBA
they have
process.
to wait for Paul, who's part-time,
Right.
to tell them what, like I have one where somebody's applied for a building permit.
Yep.
And Paul told him he needed to come to ZBA to ask whether it was de minimis changes so he can move forward. The building permit was submitted in December.
So
And
we
this
can,
is just arising this past week, so, you know, if you had somebody there who was better schooled with more time, I think some of this stuff would be addressed earlier in the process.
So your experience is that needs to be a full-time position over in inspectional services, again, given what you just said.
Yeah, because we have a part-time building inspector, I think that we need now, I don't know if we need a full-time person in the assessor's office, that's the piece I don't know.
Well,
I would,
correct me if I'm wrong, but we hired someone just to do that a couple of years ago. But the time he was spent more to assessors and stuff,
No, we
Already.
hired a land use clerk,
but he was supposed to help with this stuff.
correct.
Okay, that's what I,
It was supposed,
just never
it
happened.
was supposed to solve this problem, because the discussion we had was, do we go to a full-time building inspector,
right,
or do we hire this land use clerk?
okay, well
I
that,
lost the battle, and we
Yeah.
hired the land use clerk, and the land use clerk is not supporting the building
right,
department.
I get it. Well, the other part of the question, you know, we were talking about increasing fees to cover it, but I'm talking about, can we be more efficient? Like, the inspections, does the assessor do their own inspections, or can they just use the certificate of occupancy from the building department to do their assessing?
They need to be going to the buildings and looking at them.
But isn't that what our
Because
building,
what's
Our
actually there.
guidelines from the Department of Revenue require us to go to each property and verify the data in person.
right, but that's why we combine the,
can't just go by document.
well, the building inspector's part of the assessor's office.
People are doing building
Yeah,
without
okay.
permits, and the only way to catch it is through the assessor's office.
Okay, it's not through the inspection, building
Yeah,
inspectors.
we have very
the
poor
DPW.
enforcement,
All right, well,
and people also undervalue their building permit submissions.
I don't particularly,
The building inspector is looking at code issues and things like
Right.
that, and the
Yes.
assessor is assessing value. So
yeah, but the final inspection is pretty detailed for certificate of occupancy.
it's not
No, a
always,
lot of them are done
those
via
two things,
photos.
those two things don't always line up.
Yeah,
The assessor is assessing what's actually present on the property.
the square
That
footage of the
doesn't always
rooms
line
and,
up with what
right,
is permitted.
okay.
And I also think that,
We assess what's on the ground as of June 30th for improvement each year, which is what the new growth is based on. And when the January 1st bills go out, they're representing that assessed value that was on the ground as of June 30th.
Right, so
before
that
there's their
was,
certificate of
And so-
occupancy.
So we go out and we do permit inspections as of June 30th, and we also conduct single go inspections so that we see 10% of the properties on a yearly basis to keep up with that requirement to see all of the properties in town every 10 years. So we have different programs of going out to see these properties and keep up with the requirements.
well, I would rather
Now,
see
hold
a
on, Dean.
relaxation of that requirement and more forces go toward the inspectors.
Hold on, Dean. Lori.
I think if there's a way to do this down the road, it's a different conversation. Building inspections or inspection should be increased. I know we struggle with not having enough inspectors, and quite frankly, there's stuff that goes on in town, and certain people follow the rules and other stuff just kind of happens. And better inspection, I think, would be a good thing. On the revenue side, I'm probably not gonna be popular for this, but I think we should raise these fees. Because I think people coming to Manchester are not suffering a significant hardship paying for building permits. And quite frankly, you know, if you roll the whole picture into it, building fees are the beginning of the iceberg here. But some of these things roll to litigation, and there's a whole lot of costs that tie into this whole process. So amping up revenues is not a bad thing, in my humble opinion.
Well,
So-
and CBA increased their application fee from $250 to $1,000.
Right.
Zero complaints.
Didn't dent anything.
No,
So
it's part of, because projects are so expensive.
one perspective on that is that there are a lot of retired people with fixed incomes that might wanna do some improvements. So I don't know if you can tie this increase to new construction or not, but,
Dean, if they can afford to do construction today,
you know,
they can afford to pay the building fees.
okay, yeah. I'm just giving the flip
Construction
side.
is very expensive.
I know.
And if you're a retiree on fixed income, you either can't afford the project
Well, you have to do it yourself.
or you
Or you're
afford the
rich.
project and can afford to pay the fees.
Yeah, $1 million a year.
Okay,
I do agree, as I said earlier, with Maury and Dean, that, you know, having the ability to do more inspections by an inspector, whether that be an additional part-time person or trying to get more hours out of our part-time person now. Generally speaking, today, to hire a full-time inspector, you're in the $120,000 to $150,000 range. It's really expensive. So most towns are looking at regional approaches when it comes to an inspector or a commissioner. And then they have the full-time, you know, office staff to help. And those, and the office staff is doing more and more to just kind of set up the inspector to quickly be able to get through stuff and, you know, stamp it, get out there, look at it, and that's.
well, I also think that for years, I don't think the assessor's office was looking at properties every 10 years.
No.
And I think that if the assessor's office is more proactive at looking at more properties in town, then they're gonna find more situations where either the building permit was undervalued or non-existent. And that's, you know, that's the problem we have today is enforcement, but if the assessor's office is picking up some of that
The-
slack with their,
The other side of that is to your point about the example you gave, you know, if we aren't being efficient in our processing, it tends to, sometimes people tend to do stuff on their own without coming forward because it's faster. You know, see if they catch me.
exactly, yeah.
So if we can do better on our end on getting that stuff processed and kind of speed people through a permitting process, not, you know, still gotta follow the law and code and our bylaws, but if we can be more efficient, it may be more
Well,
welcoming to people that actually go through the
And,
process.
and I would think it would be helpful if we had this person with more time, and perhaps we do some social media stuff where people understand
Mhm.
when they're supposed to be filing for a building permit.
We've already started talking about some of that stuff, like
Yeah.
different types of website improvements, flow charts, you know, being able to, a one-stop shop for people to come in and, you know, potentially set up pre-permitting meetings with
Yeah.
members from boards. There's so much we can do, but we're limited with our current staff.
No, I agree with that.
I have a question.
I found out I need a conservation permit to change the shrubs in my front yard.
Yeah, see,
So,
you're in the buffer.
so Michelle, what do we expect the position to cost? Am I missing it? Is that what's
The
shown in
same-
the revised, or is that
So-
the
Ask
half-time,
Andrea that
the
question.
shared position?
So the, right now, in the assessor's admin,
Yes,
that
Yes.
has been like the combined position.
yes,
But now we're leaving that as is, like,
okay, so
for
that's,
that, and then we're adding under the building department,
okay.
57,000,
57,000.
page 52.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong page.
Yeah, so it's split
Oh, I
between
thought
the
it was
two now.
33. 52.
I
Gar, hold on, Gar has a
Quick
question.
question. We're paying our building inspector $27,000, is that right?
Yes.
That's right.
And what percentage of his life do we own for that 27, or time do we own?
Well, I'd have to take a look at the agreement. I mean, he's in the office here. Office hours is very minimal. He's here for, I think, 2 hours on Tuesday mornings, and then
3 or 4 hours. on
3 or 4
Thursday.
hours on Thursday afternoon. But then he's also on call he's doing inspections throughout the week.
Okay, but our agreement with him is that he gives us 20% of his time?
Yeah,
or
we share him with
something
Rockport.
like that. So 50-50.
I don't know if it's 50-50.
I thought he was full-time in Rockport.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 50-50.
No. This is a extra for him.
So I guess the question I have is, are we getting full value? Is he doing everything that he ought to be doing? Which I have no doubt, I'm not saying he isn't, I just wanna know. And secondly, it appears that the shortfall in terms of performance that I'm hearing is in the building department, not in the
Exactly.
assessor's department.
Yes,
And
right.
so do we need to look and say, does the building inspector have a role as a department head? As in terms of leadership and so forth, and running the thing like a business or something?
Not
Or
today.
not really,
That's
not
not how
really.
it's-
Back to your question of many years ago, though, should that position be different?
Right, but
go
I
under the
think
planning.
that's a discussion for another day,
Okay,
okay? I think we've beaten this into the ground.
but let me just finalize.
Yeah.
So the person who does manage the building department is
The assessor.
Oh,
the assessor.
the assessor.
I
Okay.
I manage the building department, so my assistant and I receive all of the phone calls that come in most of our phone calls are for the building department. So she and I answer all of the questions about fees, costs, procedures, all of that, because the inspectors are not available.
That's my
So,
comment
yeah.
about combined inspection. I mean, if that's
Yeah.
the same
Okay,
department.
You've had your say, Dean.
Yeah.
We're not gonna beat this into the ground.
It's just a matter
Yes,
of having the
Mr.
right.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Michelle. These annual inspections
Yeah.
that are done, you're trying to do 10% a year so that you do all the housing. How long does an inspection take
Yeah.
for a typical house here?
So for a full inspection, which is what we're required to do, it could be 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of the property. And a
Just
lot of
doing
the
the math.
issues that
It's
we're
okay.
running into.
Okay, thank
So
you.
Sure, Dan.
what I was gonna say is, part of the issue is that we're not allowed to enter properties. Residents are not allowing us to enter properties, but we are required by the Department of Revenue to show up, to measure the exterior if we're allowed, to take pictures and verify as much of the data as we can at the door or through an exterior inspection. And then, of course, when we're allowed to enter the interior, obviously, that's the ideal situation.
Sounds like CSI Manchester here.
But we are expected to be present at every property in town and conduct these inspections. And I should be able to go out to a lot more inspections than I am able to, because I just don't have the time.
Okay,
But that's part of my job, that's part of what I'm supposed to be doing.
So what are the penalties if we don't meet this minimum standard?
Dean, in
Well,
my opinion, we're a town
Yeah,
and we should be properly valuing our property.
yeah, I
Because
agree.
if I'm overpaying for my property tax and somebody else is underpaying it,
Yeah.
that's not fair.
Right.
So we need to be valuing the property consistently.
Yes, but the point I'm trying to
End of story.
make is that when it comes to resident services on permits and beating us up with more evaluation, I would prefer we focus on the resident services than the extra evaluation
It's
stuff.
not extra, Dean. It's,
Well,
the
it seems to be,
assessor's
it seems to
office
be excessive.
is responsible for what every single property owner pays in taxes every year.
I understand that.
And it darn well should be accurate.
One guy did it for years
We
and the
shouldn't be
town
cutting
size
co-
hasn't changed that much. So what's changed? All the rules? I
Maybe
guess.
it's more accurate.
Yeah, maybe.
Maura, you had something.
I just have a question, and I don't wanna sound draconian about this, but when we don't issue a building permit and somebody goes and does something, are there penalties involved or stuff like that? And I have some ideas on this front, but.
I think they're $300 a day, but
It's
they're
good.
not enforced.
But do we have latitude to do anything, or does the state guideline? So for example, if Manchester said, in order to put in that septic system, you actually need to have a permit and you need to have an inspection and whatever. And if the person goes ahead and does it on their own, could Manchester come back and say, take it out? And we're gonna ask you to wait 3 years before you attempt to put that in again.
I think a septic system is a bad example.
Well, okay, so, but you've gotta wait on your project for, say, 2 or 3 years, and then you can come back and apply again. Where I'm going with this
You
is,
don't have the people to enforce it though, Maury. That's
no,
the
where I'm
problem.
going with this is, if you decide to do something and you get caught, you may have to pay a penalty.
And
More than
that's
a
true.
dollar penalty, and that may prevent people from deciding to go out on their own and do things.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking the question if the town has the latitude to do that, or if the state says, no, thou shalt follow these guidelines and you can't do that sort of thing.
No, the building inspector has the authority to put a stop order on a project that doesn't have the correct permits, hasn't gone through the correct procedure, so doesn't the Conservation Commission, and so doesn't the Board of Health in the example that you gave related to
Yep.
septic.
Maybe a bad example.
Bad
but-
example. But, and if someone built a structure that exceeded the height limit, absolutely, we have the legal authority to have them bring that down, to cut that down. And then we have through either zoning or general bylaws, we have the authority to put, financial
But we don't,
penalties.
we don't do it.
No.
I mean, somebody once, I heard anecdotally, someone once built a shed in a place where they weren't supposed to build it. And they just went ahead and built it, and they were chastised or, hit with a ruler or who knows what, but that's it. No penalties, no
Or back to
nothing.
the fine issue, someone says, oh, $300 or $400 a day on a $4 million
But I-
property, no big deal,
I
I'll just
think
pay the fine.
the reality is, if you had somebody in an office with enough time to enforce some of that stuff, and you didn't have to rely on a part-time building inspector, that maybe we could follow through
Right.
with some of those, because the example Gar is giving
Just anecdotal.
has been going on for a good 6 years. The building inspector made the person go to the ZBA for a variance.
Mhm.
The ZBA denied it.
Right.
That shed still stands.
It's waiting for an avalanche to move it.
I can give another example. I recently replaced the front porch in my house. And in the contract, we said, you're responsible for all the permits. And he replaced it, and we asked, I never saw a copy of a permit, right? So, it's like,
Take off your front porch.
I mean, we've sort of
Okay.
revisited this year to year to year, but one question just going forward is, if something happens to Paul, or he decides to retire, sounds like there's a labor availability question here. What do we do? And, if we're bringing somebody in from Framingham for 16 hours a week, that's gonna probably be a problem. So, obviously thinking ahead, what happens if he gets hit by a bus?
Right, right.
What do we do?
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to get creative very quickly. Try to find, start by working with our neighboring towns, see what we can do in order to purchase some hours from their staff, whether they have part-time or full-time, I don't know, really lean on that for the short-term solution. Then you'd have to start thinking about, are there maybe contractors in town that would be interested in potentially being a part-time inspector that would work underneath whoever your commissioner is. But like I said, even that you could get away with that for like $10,000 a year. But now the amount of the stretch energy code, the amount of training, it's a totally different world now, and that 10,000 isn't worth it to someone, to not go to work one day and spend their day at a training in Central Mass or something like that. So I've been through this. It's chaotic. You'd have to get creative really quickly. But it really does start in the office. The more that the clerical staff can tee up for the inspector to quickly get done, then they can, on the enforcement side, they can have more time for that.
Yeah.
It's not the full solution, there's more to it, but I think it starts there.
So back to Maury's point about, it seems like we're missing a revenue stream, B, we're not enforcing our codes.
Right.
C, we have this enormous and expanding infrastructure to deal with assessing and building codes. At the end of the day, you don't really have to follow them.
No, I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure there's a lot of stuff out there that we could be better on, but when you're looking at,
But this would be a revenue.
I mean,
as opposed to,
when you're looking at 828 permits last year for almost $600,000, that's not, nothing is being
That
done
doesn't
right.
show it in these
That's a lot.
numbers. We don't have 600,000 in these
That's a
numbers.
calendar year, so.
I'm wondering
Some of
if
us
someone
receive
like,
it.
no, that's a lot,
Fiscal
but maybe we're
26.
missing another 800,000, I have no idea. For,
Right, but it,
maybe someone should have paid, double that, like you pulled a permit, but really, what did you actually do?
yeah, I mean, that's another thing is, are we requiring contracts with the permit application? Is our staff, our full-time staff, capable of evaluating that and, maybe suggesting to the inspector when they come in to review an application, like, seems like they're a little under on this contract on the cost per square foot based on the other things I've seen. So those are, it's stuff like that, I don't know if, we might be requiring it, but we might not have the time to really look through that stuff right
My
now.
point is like, there's a revenue source, and you said we don't have time, I get it. We can pay for someone to do this stuff if there's revenue on the other side to support it. And
Yes.
it helps,
Right.
Yeah,
people feel it's more fair because, oh, my neighbor did this, and now he's getting in trouble.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
shed.
yeah. Right now, the assistant is being pulled, at certain points of the year, being pulled into the assessor side or vice versa, and it's just not,
and this is where I would hope someone like Nate or Mark Resnick or someone could pitch in with their department because they're qualified to do that stuff too.
no one, Dean, I appreciate all your comments and
Yeah.
I'm here to answer as many
Right.
questions as you have.
The
But
flexibility.
a lot of it seems to be based on an assumption of what people do or the amount of free time they have.
The amount of flexibility.
They don't. Everyone here is, their plate's overflowing.
Right.
It's not, we don't have the ability to pull Nate or Mark in to help with random inspectional service tasks.
Right. But is it overflowing with the correct things or is it
Okay,
overflowing with
we've
development?
discussed this enough,
Yeah.
Dean. It's not our job to run the town. We're
We're trying to maintain it, not develop it, but anyway.
It's not for us to determine what employees do. That's his job.
Yeah, okay.
If we don't
Well,
like it,
some
it's up to
advice.
him.
Yeah, we are, I am.
Why are we being asked to approve a part-time or a full-time position?
I believe it's a new full-time
Full-time.
position.
And the cost of it's found in the building department,
Correct.
Yes.
even though whether the person who's in the existing job would probably stay in the assessor's office. Is that
It
the?
doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter, I'm just trying to figure out what the
They
cost.
the current person is making 64,000.
Right.
So they're looking at hiring a new person at the 57,000.
Okay.
And there might have to be a movement of salary between the two departments if the new person is an assessors versus a building
And the new
department.
person's a full-time person.
That's what's in
I
this
think
request.
I need, for the budget, I need that in there.
Mhm.
If we end up hiring someone that works less hours than that, I'm okay.
Okay.
It could be less than 33 and a half.
I'm
And I
not trying to
wouldn't
get
need the
into your
full
business,
amount.
I'm just trying to understand how it's filling the
Yep.
need, that's all.
Yep.
That's all I'm trying
And
to
I
do.
think we really would like to make a request that there's a real determination made as to exactly how many hours are required in the assessor's office.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
You know, it seems like building department needs a full-time person. I'm not convinced the assessors does if they're only using 15% of a person today. But that's,
Yeah, and I guess I'm asking is allow us to right-size that over time.
I would just make a suggestion that the Board of Selectmen consider raising these fees, or the town administrator recommend to the Board of Selectmen to raise these fees higher than they are now. I mean,
to the
we're
average of 11 from 6.
That would be a good step.
$6
almost
and the
double.
high end is 15. Seems like we got some room to go here.
The select board, we've talked about it briefly at a previous select board meeting. They were supportive, asked me to do more research. So we'll be bringing it back to them for approval.
Excellent.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
But I just have a couple of, two housekeeping questions.
Sure.
One is the assessor's salary went up about 10%, is that step plus?
That was requested. We didn't include that in my recommended
Okay, pull that up. And then the revenues, looks like it goes down from 24 to 25 fiscal.
Right. Because I think there were fewer permits.
So we're talking about five permits were kind of going rapidly.
I thought he
Well,
said
the
20.
permits that Tony was reading off are calendar year, so sometimes the timing is off, like, but
But it's
Michelle had
nowhere
like,
near 600,000, and people are throwing out a $600,000 number, and no year has been even close to that.
We do have CST coming up, which might be
so I talked to Michelle a little bit about that today, maybe she can speak to it. But we received in calendar year 26, like Eagle Head,
25 or 26?
what she gave you was calendar,
She gave me calendar year,
25
number
was
of permits.
600,000.
25 was 828 permits for $594,000. So
But
that's January to
I show
December.
fiscal year numbers, so I only go through June
What was the
30th.
number for 24?
Those are all calendar years. Those numbers I pulled from the inspectional services
Yeah, I don't,
system, and
I
it's
don't-
based on calendar year.
I don't care.
What's the difference?
If
apples and
it
oranges.
doesn't matter whether it's calendar year or fiscal,
12 months.
It's not
they
enough.
should be much closer, the fiscal should be much closer to a calendar year. If you're talking 900,000 for 24 and 600,000 for 25 calendar year, then I would expect for 25, 24 and 25, you're talking 900,000 and 600,000 for calendar years. Then I certainly would expect the fiscal year 25 to be at least in the middle of that number,
Right, they're not close.
right?
They're not close. They're
No, it's not close.
Yeah, I'd have to,
So somebody's not paying their permit fees.
well, no,
Are the
I don't
permits
think so.
including electrical and gas?
The calendar year 2021 total revenue, calendar year 2021, was 302,087. So here, your fiscal year 22 is 302,173.
Which is
So
fine, yeah.
It's closer.
But these more recent ones aren't close.
Yeah,
further away.
22 is 327, fiscal year 23 is 353. So they get closer, but, you know,
The last 2 years don't seem to be close. And it also seems to me
478,
like when you're counting the permits, you're including not just building, but also electrical and gas, which are lower, and plumbing, which are lower fees.
All of the permits are included in those numbers.
Okay.
Those numbers, the 302,087, they include all permits, building, plumbing, electrical,
Yeah.
gas.
So plumbing and electrical fees are much less. I think electrical, they don't even charge for a fee for an electrical permit if it's part of a building permit, if I recall correctly.
Electrical permits are half, so if building permits are $6 per thousand, electrical permits are half of that, so $3 per thousand.
Yeah, they got
Maybe.
So it looks like we have an
Lori's
opportunity
comment
to
might look at all
increase
fees.
fees.
Yeah.
Need to look at
yeah, I
revenue.
mean, there's the structure of the fee structure is also, many towns separate a fee for, ground up, single family construction versus addition versus ADUs versus demolition versus, they break out a different fee for a lot of different activities. We basically just go with a straight $6 per thousand.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done there.
Agreed.
Okay. Are we through with our questions on the assessor's budget and the building department budget?
I move we approve this.
Okay, the
But
assessors.
We've also made some suggestions.
So a motion to approve the $240,788 for the assessor's office?
Yes.
I'll second. It's only 3%. I'll second.
Vote. Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Andy, no. Lori,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. Now, the building department, a motion to approve $151,254.
What page is that on?
52. And the fees related to the building department are on page 29.
All right, so moved.
Second.
More seconds. Any discussion? Take a vote. Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. That was painful.
But 2 budgets in less than an hour.
Well, they are separated by 25 pages, so
Yeah.
it takes some navigating.
We have capital items for the assessor's office.
And this is different than the discussion we had about updating other software. This is specialized software.
There's RRC, Personal Property Valuation System and Services, and Catalyst Patriot CAMA software upgrade to version AP something,
What page?
85.
78.
78.
Michelle, can you speak to the capital requests?
Yes. So the Patriot Properties request for upgrade to AP5 software system, right now we're on Classic, and Classic is no longer being supported. It's an old system, and several communities have already upgraded to AP5, which is cloud-based. The reports are no longer being supported, and it's time to transition to the upgraded version, AP5. I put in a request for RRC, which is a company that specializes in personal property, and they also take care of the utility appraisals, which we are mandated by the Department of Revenue to do every year. They also offer support if we have to go to the appellate tax court and defend that value. And I used RRC in a different community. Unfortunately, Patriot Properties Personal Property is what we're using right now, and they're understaffed. I spent a significant amount of time out of my own time to format reports in Excel to be able to send these to the Department of Revenue for our recertification year, because the person at Patriot Properties doesn't know Excel. It's only one employee who goes around to verify the data, as opposed to RRC, where they have a company full of employees that focus on personal property. And I did mention in the capital request that our number one, the highest taxpayer in town is Mass Electric, which is valued somewhere around $49 million, which is the personal property account. So it's a significant source of revenue, and we have to be careful who we work with to defend those values and make sure we tap into as much revenue as possible.
How wedded are we to Patriot Properties?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
How, do we have a contract, a long-term contract with Patriot
So
Properties?
our contract expired this year. All of our contracts expired this year, so we are in the process of drawing up new contracts. So this is actually the perfect time to make this transition, if you agree.
And you would go to whom?
We would go with RRC for personal property, only for the portion of personal property, we would go with RRC.
Staying with Patriot Properties for,
And we would stay with Patriot Properties for residential.
have we looked at what else is
and
out there?
For assessing. I'm sorry?
Have we looked at what else is available?
There isn't really anything else that's available. RRC is a company that's freestanding and they solely focus on personal property. Brian Pelletier, who is the principal of RRC, started his career at the Department of Revenue.
No,
And so
I'm
we work
asking about
very
Patriot
close.
Properties. Is there any other option?
I mean, there is Vision Appraisal, which is similar to Patriot Properties, but they have their own struggles and the system is quite different. So I don't know that that would be a better option. I don't think that would be a better option.
Okay, thank you.
So what is the lifespan of
You're
this?
welcome.
Like, how long is it good for? 5 years,
Well,
10
it's no
years?
longer supported.
Is it?
I mean, we've had this classic system since the late 90s.
Okay, so it's been 20
So,
years.
yeah, so it's been quite some time. I'm not sure that I can answer that question. I
Right.
don't know. But I would say it would be quite some time before another upgrade would be necessary. And even though it's only an upgrade from classic to AP5, it's quite a different system, a lot more user-friendly. There's going to be a learning curve. And if we are to split out the positions and have an admin focus solely on assessing, this would be the perfect time to have this person start on the new system as we would transition on July 1st. So it
Will the
would be
residents
beneficial
see-
from,
Will the residents see a difference on like the map GIS website with this new?
This is Patriot Properties.
Yeah, you know how you can
Not
go into,
GIS.
but you can get the Patriot property card on the GIS.
Well, you can get it directly through Patriot Properties too.
But
we
get it-
can get the personal property card through GIS. That's on there right now, the printable card.
Would this software make any changes to that, or no? This
Yes,
is-
yes, the property record card would look quite different,
Okay.
a lot more information.
Right, okay, thank you.
Just out of curiosity, how much do we pay Patriot Properties for our residential system?
For the residential system, well, we pay a license agreement to them, and so,
Would be annually.
Well, we have software.
yeah,
So is that the software line of the budget,
It would be
which is 16,855?
a portion of
no, it's, we have a license agreement that.
GIS is
the
22,000.
Yeah, no, GIS is separate. So we have a license agreement with Patriot, and it's around $11,000 a year for the license agreement, and, for the support that they provide on a yearly basis, in case we run into any issues, including, the permitting integration. Patriot has been very helpful and very proactive in helping us identify any issues with the OpenGov integration.
So that's on the computer supply.
It's money well spent.
So why
Yeah, so
is
for
it
a
capital? It sounds like a,
No,
Permanent
no,
software.
no, it isn't in capital, it's just the upgrades in capital.
right, yeah, why is
Right.
that? Why wouldn't it be just an annual increase?
Because we wouldn't have the same increase next year.
It's
It's like a one-time, like, data conversion, if you will, so that's why we put it in
Right.
capital.
Okay.
In FY '26, it was $12,184.
And that's under the Coopers and Lybrand,
So,
like the official accounting, you could call this capital, even though it's not really a physical asset.
yes, yep.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle, we're done with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering the hard questions.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Michelle. The next item on the agenda is page 40. Benefits, pension, and property insurance. Now, we don't have a final number for health insurance, right?
No, we don't, but, I spoke with them today, and 15% is what we should expect.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit under that, somewhere between 14.5% and
They're
15%.
coming our pennies.
What did we
I
plug
don't wanna put it at 14.5 and
15. It's
come back for 15.
in? So we're good.
So they were waiting on, remember I talked about how GIC was taking their vote on their plan structures
Yes.
on the 12th?
And they didn't.
They didn't.
I read that in the paper.
And now they're meeting, I think, again on the 26th.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get final numbers after that.
Okay. So this page includes group health insurance, workers' comp, casualty and liability insurance, unemployment comp, and FICA and Medicare. Peter, you had questions on casualty and liability, is that correct?
Yes, it was. The question I want to ask is, what do we carry for liability? And who's the carrier?
Maya is a,
And how are they rated?
so,
They're rated very well. Most communities in Massachusetts use them. They're very much like a pooled insurance.
And what are we covered? I mean, what's our max liability for, what are we covered for in liability?
We're covered for, like, the way their policy works, they add up all our buildings, and that's like our max, it's like $47 million. And they're covered
I
per
didn't hear you.
$47 million, and then that's like per occurrence, and then it breaks it down by that. I mean, our policy is about 353 pages, that covers
Right, I'm
a
not
lot of
asking,
different
I'm just
things.
asking what the max, so it's 47,000 per occurrence.
47
Per
million,
Excuse me,
yes,
my mistake.
for building, and then for
Well, that's property.
this property.
What about vehicles?
So vehicles, it, I mean, it breaks it down by like, you know, like your standard, you know, personal car insurance of, you know, 40,000 for, you know,
yeah.
personal property and things like that,
Well,
but
the reason I'm asking the question is that the DPW sent me from the last meeting the list of vehicles. We have about 1.5 million of DPW vehicles of one sort or another. And it led me to think about what was the coverage on these vehicles. Example, is it a replacement value? Is it depreciation value? You know, we got some fair number of vehicles floating around here.
we do.
And I was wondering
Yes.
what our exposure is if there was a casualty of some sort substantial to the vehicles, as well as liability. And I'm not sure I quite understand what I know it's Maya that's covered.
Right, so for instance, you know, our loader is $250,000. If it's under 10 years, then we do a replacement cost. If it's anything over 10 years, then it's actual cash value. So whatever the value is at the
I
time.
see. So it depends on the age of the vehicle.
Yes, it does.
It's my understanding that when we had an issue with our fire chief's vehicle that was new, we didn't pay anything, is that accurate?
That's accurate, because we had.
Because it was within the time frame. It was a fairly new vehicle probably.
Yes. Yeah, when I got here, it was all over the place, and guys, I was like, you know what? Any new vehicle or equipment or anything like that is gonna be a replacement cost. Because the premium difference between actual cash value and replacement cost wasn't that much, and I'm like, I'd rather have a replacement cost,
Okay.
because as soon as you drive it off the lot, how much depreciation
Yes.
is, so.
Yes.
So that's how we handle that. That answers your question.
One
Yeah.
question, just to,
Hold on, Gene, go
yeah,
ahead.
just to
Mark.
pony on, beach and harbor.
Mhm.
Are they both covered under here? Because those are places where things can happen.
Yeah, so actually, interesting enough, like a couple of years ago, I was looking into that because, we've been doing a lot of like the floats, the docks, and it came up, a question about our insurance, and they said, do you have a marina? And it's always been, no, we don't have a marina, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't need a marina policy. So a couple of years ago, we did add a marina policy, so it does cover all of like the mooring areas, anything like off of the dock spaces and things like that. So that's a separate policy. As far as like the Singing Beach and like those areas and the docks are all covered under our Maya property policy.
And that's a
Where's the
property
separate-
policy.
Yes.
And a liability
It
policy.
is, yes.
Where's the cost for the separate marina policy? Is
That's within the casualty and liability.
Okay,
online.
it's in that one.
Thank you.
That was my question too, about whether it covers the property.
Yeah, we do a very thorough analysis every year. We always have Maya come out and talk to us. We talk to other carriers as well, especially for workers' comp. We just switched carriers this year, which saved us a bit of money. The other thing too is we just want to make sure we're covered. I don't know if you guys know 40 Lincoln Street over by this high school, middle school area. It's like that kind of like abandoned looking building. Maya won't cover that, so we have to have a separate policy for that too.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions on insurance and other benefits?
Is the 2.86% increase in is that panning out? Because with California and everything, I thought that would go up more with all the fires. No.
So I have a motion to approve the insurance and other benefits in the amount of $2,498,122.
You do, so moved.
Peter moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Gar seconds. Vote, Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah says yes.
Can I just add, if we find out in the next week or two that the rate is actually 14% or 14.5 on health, that
We bring
we
it down.
revisit?
Yes,
Because the increase of $270,000
it's big money.
is big money, and, lop 40 or 50 grand off that would be nice.
Absolutely.
That's a few FTEs right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
What do we do next?
We are going to go to the beginning of the book,
Minutes.
and we are going to do Select Board Town Administrator expense on page 19. And we're just gonna go through this book, all the ones we haven't voted on, in the next 45 minutes.
I feel like this is speed, like we should have like buttons or something.
That's right.
Speed
It's
dating.
like speed dating.
Yeah.
Well, if they were all 2.5%, then it would be no problem.
So we have Select Board Town Administrator expenses, we have Selectmen salaries went up quite a bit,
Sarah, I'm sorry, what page are you on? Excuse me.
19.
Thank you.
The community communications coordinator went way up.
Yeah, so
I
that,
thought we put it at full-time last year.
I think you didn't in the budget, but there was agreement that it was gonna be a full-time position, so.
We did a year-end transfer last year, because and then, because it was after the budget.
Okay,
So this isn't a salary increase, it's the salary for the full fiscal year.
okay.
There's a 2.5% there, but it's not.
And professional services, HR is a big jump.
Yeah, that's our contract with Hamilton.
So have we expanded the HR service, Tony?
Did we?
We have not expanded it. I think we've consistently under budgeted that line.
Oh.
So like our original estimate of what we thought it was gonna cost with Hamilton was lower. And this is hopefully right sizing it, because if you look at FY '24 and FY '25,
Yes, yes.
it's more than what we've budgeted in the past.
So we're actually charged for the number of hours we use, are we?
It's 10 hours per week for the whole year.
Okay,
And so then they do a calculation with like, a bunch of other different factors, like, partial cell phone reimbursement, things of that nature.
Retirement.
Yeah, retirement
And
insurance.
are you satisfied with that working setup with Hamilton? Is that works well?
Would they be amiable to 8 hours per week?
I don't think we want to cut on HR.
Okay.
That's where we get into large legal bills.
Good point.
From having experience in the business world.
Maybe we should be offering more.
Yeah, actually, that was like when you asked the question, Peter, my hesitation was more so on the side of, I wish we had more hours.
That's what, a little bit I was asking, is it
But-
enough? I mean,
But it works.
that's, HR is a big,
It fluctuates.
I see.
There's, you can never tell when it's gonna happen. But it always happens all at
And
once.
it's intense.
And then all of a sudden, you don't have a personnel issue for a while. And then all of a sudden, contract negotiations come up or other types of things. So
Yes.
it's hard to predict.
And they're involved in the hiring process?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Is there a person in Hamilton who does this on their staff?
Same person.
Okay, that's what I'm,
It's the same person who spends, some hours here, some hours there.
We haven't noticed anybody stealing employees in Detroit.
We haven't.
I have no other questions.
And
IT
You wanna approve it?
expenses?
I'd say the selectmen revenue is a little short of their expenses.
We are proposing a change in the definition for short-term rental that may bring in more licensing fees under that change. So right now, it's a 6-day
Yeah.
minimum. We're changing it, or proposing to change at town meeting to align it with the definition that's in the zoning, which is 30 days.
I think it's 30, that's the state definition, yeah.
So we may bring in some new revenue there. Short-term rentals is another thing that we'll be looking at in coming years that could produce some additional revenue through fees.
How does that get administered, Tony?
Right now, through the select board's office, there's an application form and certain paperwork you have to submit.
Well, don't we also get revenue from the state?
You're right, so then we have a local tax.
Yes.
That's actually what I was asking about.
Right, that we're getting, that one's not really subjected to our definition of 6 days
Okay.
or less. I believe any
Airbnb.
anything going through Airbnb or VRBO or anything that's registered as short-term rental
Mhm.
through the state, when you pay for that rental, it's collected by the state
Yes.
and then transferred to us quarterly.
And it's my understanding that there are administrative people in the town who actually try to track down properties that are on that list.
Is that, I thought
That aren't-
I thought the
don't-
administration would be tough.
Don't have don't have the approval from us, but it's my understanding that that list doesn't include property numbers, only streets. So it's
But you could be on that list and be renting 7-night minimums, and technically you're not falling under our definition. Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions on this budget?
Just questions on the revenue on rentals for cell phone towers, Sprint, water. Is that all just negotiated by somebody else and they say, here's what you have, take it or leave it? Or is there,
Pretty much.
I guess what I'm wondering is, are we leaving any money on the table here or?
I mean, those should be under some sort of lease agreement with the companies. Where they stand in their term, I'm not sure. I have to take a closer look at that.
It just seems like it's a bulk of the revenue coming in.
Yeah.
Area to focus on occasionally.
What cell towers do we have where? Curious.
Well, we have
The
the
old
old,
The old compost,
compost
the
Is there
water
one?
tower,
and the water tower.
and the
For
police station.
For ours.
Police station.
Police station too?
I
don't- but
mean,
that
there are
just
three
might be it.
listed here. Station cell tower, which I believe is on the police station.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
School antenna, which I believe was the old compost. And water tower, which is a water tower, but there's also one at the new compost.
Right, that's a big one.
Right.
That's been there for years. It was at the transfer center for years. I don't see that listed.
And more in my
So-
experience,
It might
it's
be the
taken
two
away.
together.
Yeah, how many
Yeah.
carriers?
Two together.
You're generally getting
A lot
$20,000
of
to
people using their
$30,000
phones.
per
A lot of
carrier.
revenue coming through these things.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm just looking, so the school antenna, there's one carrier.
It says Sprint.
Yeah,
Right. Water tower, there's gotta be two carriers there, I don't know who they are.
Well,
147, I have no idea. That's a lot.
it would seem like it's more than one cell tower. Now, there's also one at the marina. If that's on private property,
Yeah,
then
it's
we
private
wouldn't,
property.
we
Is
wouldn't
this
get
a
it.
church one?
The church one, and the school's got one that's.
That would go to the
School
district.
budget.
Just a thought to check on that at some point.
Yeah.
Curious about the 147 though.
That's probably the other two big ones.
Okay. Any other questions on this budget? Do I have a motion to approve the select board town administrator expenses in the amount of $708,663?
So moved.
Second.
Lori seconds. Vote, Dean,
Yes,
Andy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Okay, next one is legal and professional services, page 21.
I think that, this is, legal expenses is an item that we've typically needed to do a transfer at the end of the year to cover. If we do have some savings in health insurance or, other areas, this is where I might suggest adding additional.
Adding over and above than what you're suggesting here.
Yeah, more than the 175.
Mhm.
I mean, usually we're able to, I think we've been able to figure it out at the end of the year, but
Yep. But it's
I
been a
think
very
consistently,
regular.
we're closer to somewhere between 185 and 200, I think is more consistent.
And what about the professional services? What are we spending that money on? That's a lot of money.
I think it's just, can you speak to some of the
Yeah, I
history of that?
Yeah, so in the past, we've used it for the public record software, we use it when we first started that, recruitment, the governance project, different consulting projects with MAPC, emergency preparedness, technical assistance, and any like 40B related professional services, not legal related. So if like we needed a survey or, I don't know if that's a good example, but that's what we've used that for.
and what's the justification for the big change this year?
For just the professional services? or
Yes, 75.
No, they're
It's going-
dropping
Dropped
it.
it to 70. Cause that's been like our
Oh,
average.
because it went up the year before, okay.
Yeah.
That was the change the
This
previous
does not
year.
include, Andrea, the fundraising advisor for the senior center. Someone got hired to help in that fundraising. That's not included in this.
That's not a town expense, is it?
Oh, you're probably right.
Hope not.
That's
Not supposed to be.
Right.
Is the town paying it?
Right now, yes.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, there was some money appropriated for, there was 50,000 appropriated for some,
Yes.
that's not in this,
That was
that's
for
not this
schematics
line.
so that they needed the schematics in order
To
to
show.
raise the money.
Yeah, pretty pictures.
We were very definite when we approved the $1 million to acquire it,
That was it.
that was it, and that no additional town expenses would be spent on the senior center. So if
But-
we're paying a consultant out of here, I have concerns.
There was something at the end where we agreed to fund a
fif-
minor amount, yeah.
The 50,000 for the schematics.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
So there is that,
right,
okay,
but so,
not the
you
70.
need to be aware of that.
Okay, where, and then, I mean, in full disclosure, there's also legal expenses involved in the negotiating of the sale. You know, so that's gonna be falling under somewhere in this legal expense line item. I mean, we can't, we need an attorney to close on the property, so there's obviously
I
gonna be
know, but
costs
we wouldn't
associated with that.
spend as much in legal services if we closed on the property 2 years ago.
I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
Just to make it clear.
maybe so.
We shouldn't be suing residents either.
Okay,
Are we close to closing on
Yeah,
this?
well,
or
how are we doing on that?
Yes.
That's a safe answer.
what's the definition of close?
It's,
Don't ask.
it's changed, over time. We are, closer than we've ever been. I don't wanna put a time frame on it,
I know you don't.
cause I've done that already a few times, but all legal documents are with the Masons. We've discussed a lot of the changes with them. We're in agreement with almost everything. They're now literally going line by line on the track changes version of the document, accepting or not. And I believe they're through 3 of the 4 documents, so I'm hopeful that we'll get, at least that narrowed down to whatever outstanding issues there may be, which I hope there aren't many. But it's been the most, even our legal team it's the condoization of private property of a nonprofit with a municipality on registered land. It has not been a simple process.
Well, I don't think anybody understood, because it was gonna be signed before last year's town
Right.
meeting.
Right.
So I think there's been a lack of
We'll see you
expertise
next year.
involved. Yes,
You
Ann?
want a motion to,
I would like to stand up for the administration in this case. The way this contract has been evolving is with many reviews, mostly on the part of the Masons. So it's not that our administration has been holding back on anything.
All I can say, Ann, is in October of 2024, I was told I had to rush to complete the ZBA decision because they wanted to close the end of October of 2024. That's a long time ago. And they thought they were close, so there's something happened along the way where there was a lack of understanding of what needed to be done to get it completed. That's all I'm after. And the permit's gonna run out, and then they're gonna have to start all over again.
I would make a suggestion that maybe at town meeting, somebody, it's probably you, Sarah, or maybe some of the selectmen, footnote this, because the town voted and under the understanding that this was gonna get pinned down 2 years ago.
Right.
And I think when we have capital-related things that stretch like this, we need to come in front of people and say, this is happening and this is why.
Mhm.
You know, because if we don't say something and somebody raises their hand, it's gonna be less good.
Well, yeah, we'll be prepared for that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're giving weekly updates, although they're not much different by the week,
Right.
to the seniors, the friends, the mace,
Right.
so we can be
You've got the
prepared,
story.
yeah.
You may get questioned on it.
We'd be driving piles on the rotunda right now if we had that $1 million.
You want a motion?
Yes, please.
The motion, we approve $245,000 in the legal and professional services budget.
I have a second.
Second.
Vote, Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Okay.
And we don't.
Finance Committee and Reserve Fund, 22.
Increase our salaries.
So what's our hourly wage?
How dare we increase 28%?
We increased our FinCom salaries to be more in line with what we actually spend. And the reason we spend a lot of money is because we have lots of changes to the minutes, which requires the minutes to be rewritten at a cost. Just
So if we
saying.
paid $50 a meeting for a committee member to do it, we'd be a lot less.
We are not gonna pay $50 for a committee meeting,
To-
member to meet.
To edit the AI notes and for the next meeting.
Do we?
I mean, it would give us a lot more control over what's said at this meeting.
Members of the Finance Committee should not be controlling the minutes. The minutes should be
Well, they
created.
voted at the end, of course.
They should be created out of the tape recording, which is what's being done using AI. That still takes a person's time.
Yes, it does.
And then every time there's a change,
I'm
That's
proposing
more
to take
work
it out of
involved.
the government services whatsoever.
what?
I'm proposing to take that task out of the government hands whatsoever, put it in the volunteers' hands. For a stipend, of course, but I think it would
we're not paying a
encourage more resident participation in these committees. I think it would do a myriad of things.
I can't imagine anybody who would join a committee so that they can take the minutes. I'm sorry.
It's just, they'll feel like their words aren't being suppressed when they're dissident. That's all. It would make
Okay, we're
more
not,
for
we're not gonna
volunteers.
discuss this anymore.
Okay,
Do we think that the amount in the reserve fund is realistic? I just want to just check in. I know it's remained fairly constant.
We've spent some of it. I think that what we've been doing the last few years is something I don't like, and that is balancing the budget at the end of the year using the reserves. I would prefer the reserves to be used for specific expenses that come up that we weren't expecting, like we did for the match for the scuba gear for the fire department. That
I think it's supposed to be unanticipated in
Right.
its definition. But I was wondering.
so it should be enough.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to just check in, because it's been fairly steady, and I know we do a lot of,
It used to be higher.
yes, it did.
I think we highlighted it yellow as a place of, where you could potentially go up, but I noticed the trend. It seems like there was an effort from 24 to 25 to reduce it down, so.
Right.
Well, Andrew's been very effective, I think, in bringing funds within the categories. I can't remember how it works quite yet.
Right, so I went back and I wanted to look, because I know it's been, we've discussed this before in the last couple of years, every year, at the end of the year, my stress level gets higher and higher every year to find out money. So I went back and I looked at how much did we use for the reserve fund and how much did we use for interdepartmental transfers
Yes.
for the last 5 years.
Mhm.
FY '21, we had a budget of reserve fund of 160, we used 127, and then we had 139,000 of interdepartmental transfers. So that's a total of 266. And then going from there, FY '22 was 345,000, FY '23 is 354, FY '24 was $505,000, FY '25 was 457. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So that's the
So that's-
total number of inter-department transfers
Plus
and
the
the
reserve
buffer.
fund.
If you can't match up people in like departments, as you come to us and we tap the 150,
How
correct?
much, you probably didn't do this analysis, but would transfer to cover snow and ice be part of that?
Yes.
So it'd be interesting to see how much of that is snow and ice,
Mhm.
right?
We haven't used any in the last,
Yeah,
I think
don't-
one
don't
year we
know.
did. One year it was like 17,000 or something like that.
yeah,
that I
it's been a
used.
long
Not-
time.
So not a lot.
Not a lot.
No.
So remind us again, if we don't have enough in the FinCom reserve and you're not able to do that, what happens? We don't pay bills and have a motion at a fall meeting to correct this, or what happens?
There's a couple different options you can do. You can either deficit spend that line, say for instance, I'm gonna pick trash. Because it's one of the ones that you're not legally allowed to overspend. So if we had a deficit in that, we didn't raise it or transfer money from another account during the fiscal year, we would have to raise it on the recap the following year. So that would reduce how much we have available for taxes for that current budget. And then we would also get a reduction in our free cash. So it's kind of
So
like
you also get a reduction
in our free cash
It's a
certification.
double hit.
Sure.
So it's a
It's like
double hit.
hit.
Could you cut back on current services in the current year to make up for the shortfall?
Sometimes I try and keep an eye on it at the end of the year. Some departments it's hard because a lot of their expenses come in June. So I can't be like, you can't renew your subscription, things like that. But I can say, don't buy office supplies. But in reality, that's not gonna add up to $300,000.
Yeah.
Can you bring something at annual town meeting if you know?
Yes.
So typically, we shoot for 8 and we end up with 10 because of the rain barrel effect. And that seems to be where we wanna be. I don't see a reason to change it. We shoot for 8% reserves,
Yes.
but
We're not
because
talking
of the
about
stuff that
reserves.
comes down, the reserve fund.
No, this isn't reserves. This is the finance committee reserve fund, which is an allocation
yes,
under
yeah,
the
right.
budget.
No, I remember.
We go through this a lot because
Yep.
we get confused.
Right, no,
You're not the only one.
I remember now
Yeah,
what this
so
is
this
for. This
is-
is our only trump card
This,
to take care of an emergency.
yeah, the expectation of this fund is if there's an unusual expense that comes up that couldn't be foreseen,
Right,
then it comes out of this fund, but it's not supposed to be used for
foreseeables.
Right,
foreseeables or for people failing to follow their budgets.
right.
Exactly.
Because the expectation is, now, we've used it for overtime a lot.
Yes, great deal.
We have a couple of big bid prices due this year. That might be an unforeseeable.
So usually that type of time is linked to something that was unforeseeable. An injury on duty, an extended leave, stuff that you couldn't predict.
Well, but we've beefed up the staffing, so we shouldn't have that issue very often.
Sometimes it covers, yeah.
But it's also usually if the overtime is high.
Yeah.
The salaries are lower, because we're using overtime to cover people who aren't working. That's what it should be.
Would you like
And
a
so then that's the year-end transfer,
Mhm.
rather than,
motion?
yes, please.
I move that we approve $150,000 for the Finance Committee and Reserve Fund.
And how about the 6,800 for finance committee expenses?
Oh, excuse me, am I using the wrong number?
No, there's no total.
Oh, there's no total. Please, add the 6,800, so I guess 56,800. Right.
56,800.
And a second,
Second.
vote, Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. 39 pension expense. I think we've already discussed this.
This is non-negotiable.
Right, this is what the state tells us we owe, and
Yeah.
a number of years ago, we were told that it would start declining, and it just keeps going up. And it's, well, the other thing is, it's a function of our level of salaries.
Yeah.
Not the cost of our retirement benefits, it's strictly based on our salaries, so the more people we hire, the higher our percent goes up.
Except their returns should have been really high the last couple of years, way above their expected.
The returns have been very good for the last couple.
That hasn't been reflected in our contributions.
Sarah, is it a fixed percentage of our gross salaries? A fixed percentage of the gross salary?
It's an actuarial calculation.
Oh, it's an
is my under-
actuarial
it-
calculation.
So they,
It is.
Okay,
yeah,
Living longer.
I got it.
That's
I just thought it might be a contribution.
but it is a percentage based on all the towns who are in it, yeah.
But it's got an actuarial component in it, I guess.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve $2,065,157 for pensions?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes?
Sarah votes yes. Insurance and other benefits, we already did. Okay, we're all the way down to building departments, school and education, we skip. Page 63, veteran services.
Is this the one that we share with Gloucester?
Yes.
Oh, that's right there, sorry.
What does it mean to share? I'm not sure I'm familiar with what we share. I mean, how this works.
Our veteran service agent,
So,
is
this is
shared.
part of the cost of the agent
Yes.
in the service.
And then we have the veterans benefits.
Which is a
Which-
property tax cut, right?
No,
That's
it's,
separate.
That's
it's,
separate.
it's, can you explain what the veterans benefits is? Because I always get it screwed up.
Sure, so this veterans benefit line covers any veterans that are eligible for reimbursement for like medical expenses, home energy expenses, things like that. And it goes through the whole veterans process through the veterans agent, and so that they can vet that it's they're qualified to get those costs, and then they submit it through the state, and then we get reimbursed 75% the following year.
And they administer the benefit.
Yes.
But we pay 25% of the benefit as the town they live in.
Essentially, yeah, we.
Essentially, yeah, we pay 100% and then reimburse 75.
And it's not optional.
Correct.
I move we approve veteran services for $22,750.
Second,
Yes.
Andy,
yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar, Lori,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Okay. We're now at, debt service, can we do that before we've done capital, or should we wait?
Oh,
We could wait,
Okay,
please.
full debt service. And that is all the town budgets, is that correct?
Unless you wanna do prior year bills or
Yes.
OPEB.
Well, we can do OPEB and prior year bills.
Are we gonna have a visit from Dan Sherman this year or not? Is this
Not
an off
later,
year?
we said,
Later,
April.
April.
okay, right.
He's the actuary guy.
You sent that to
he's
us.
the pension person.
He's the pension and OPEB.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you want a quick liaison update, CPC approved the recommended, they went down to 100,000 for the housing and they put 350 to the rotunda.
Fantastic,
So-
thank you.
Thank you.
We're all set for that.
Okay, so these are separate warrant articles.
What are these?
So
I'm sorry, what are these?
Andrea sent this today.
Oh, then I'm, oops.
And she sent us 3 documents. One was the budget,
Yeah.
Oop.
The other was the
one was
change.
the explanation of changes,
Okay.
and one was the separate warrant articles.
Okay, well, let me get
But if you can't find them, I can read them to you.
Please do.
Please do,
Okay.
yes.
One is OPEB, paying from taxation, 420,000. And I think the reason we came up with the 420 was because Andrea talked to Dan Sherman, and we were gonna put in 360, I think, and he said if we put in 420, that should fully pay up our unfunded liability, which means in next year, we can pay 450-odd thousand of retiree premiums out of the trust. We won't have an OPEB contribution of 300-odd thousand, but we still, the premiums we pay out of the trust have to be offset by a normal cost of about 120,000, which is the amount we're setting aside each year for active employees, so we don't get to the unfunded situation again. So when they retire, all the money's there.
This is what we discussed earlier.
Right.
Yes.
And when I talked to Dan, like this, the end of June of 2026 will be a full revaluation year. So
Yep.
all of our calculations are based on the roll forward year.
Right.
But like, I think when we looked at it, I think we did better in our investments, so I think that the 420 is a good number to go with for this year.
Okay.
So.
It
So
all
did you-
depends on how investments do, so it's not,
I'm sorry, did you send this today? Because we got,
yes,
Yeah, I didn't see it, I guess.
I got something that said draft proposal revised budget, which is the big book.
Yep.
Then I have an Excel spreadsheet, which is summary of budgets to date.
Yes.
And then we have a Word doc, which is proposed budget changes by revision.
Right, so the second one that you mentioned, if you
Summary.
open that, there's a tab on the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, tab on the
So the spreadsheet has a tab on the bottom.
There's 3 tabs, sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm looking in the wrong.
I didn't
for
know.
a
But if you
word
want
thing.
to, also, it's also on
Sorry.
page 15 of the big book.
oh,
Oh, great, all right.
Page 15.
I'm gonna read the forest.
sorry, that was my bad, I was telling you the pages. 15?
We rely on you,
15.
Sarah.
I know, okay. So do I have a motion to approve the OPEB trust in the amount of 420,000?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Jean,
Yes.
Indy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes, enthusiastically
and
so.
Sarah votes yes. Okay, the next one is prior year bills in the amount of $1,867, which means we didn't get the bills in by the deadline. And what are they, Andrea?
What, there's 2, one is for equipment which is like about $300, and then the other one is for, John Guilfoyle, who does our,
Public
Public
relations
relations.
for police and fire and.
That's good.
And so these were not ones we forgot about, because in last couple of years, we've had ones that came into town hall and didn't get to the right desk. But these weren't that. These just didn't come in.
they didn't come in.
Okay. Makes me feel better. Do I have a motion to approve the $1,867 in prior year bills?
So moved.
Second,
Second,
vote,
Yes.
Dean,
Where's the money come
Yes.
from?
Andy, taxation,
Where's the money
This
come from?
year's
taxation,
Taxation.
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Gar,
Yes.
Maury, Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. We just include it in this year's tax rate because we didn't,
I just didn't know
Tax
where
it, yeah.
you were putting it.
okay, so we did that.
But we're told we can't spend it.
Is that it? We're done.
hallelujah.
Now, we still have, what?
Oh, I was gonna say, do you still have your list of what you still have?
That's everything?
Yeah, well, we have
Debt
on
service.
hold emergency services,
You do.
which we put on hold because you were talking about a postal thing.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
they
the
did.
issue is are we in a position to add that in?
So I'm holding on that until, final health insurance number,
Okay,
our waste collection number.
Yep.
That's another one I think you
that
held on that.
sanitation's on hold,
I think
yep.
you held that too.
Yep.
Capital.
And then, as I mentioned today, legal expenses or reserve fund could be revisited if things shift a little bit. And then school, we hear from next week.
Mhm.
Did they do was there on the are they doing it on the 20?
So
Second.
the school committee did approve the budget that we'd seen. And I believe that, under their schedule, that on March 10th is when they finalize the appropriations for the towns. And so they're talking to us on the February 26th, so we won't take a vote then, but we'll vote for it, on the 19th. We probably could do it the 12th, depending on
Mhm.
how fast.
Do we have any kind of read on how Essex accepts the school budget? Because that's usually a big factor at the end.
I think that this year, actually,
We're on good behavior, I think.
their percentage increase is less than ours.
Okay.
It kind of switched a little bit.
Okay.
And
Well, that's good.
I think they still may need an override, but it sounds to me like they were supporting it.
Right, okay.
Time will tell. Is
Yeah.
that your sense, Ann?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's an enrollment change? I mean, that's,
Yeah.
drive that
That's
in?
helped.
Yes, the apportionment formula is.
Well, I know it's one of the factors, but I
It's
didn't
the
know
largest factor.
largest
That's
factor.
half the driver.
Yeah, 75%. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's minuscule difference, and it
Okay.
just impacts the appropriation.
Yeah.
We also had new valuations.
I wondered if it was valuations.
The valuation, it's like they use 2 years of one valuation and then 1 year of another. So there's 1 year of a new valuation in this year's appropriation.
Well, that's why I asked. I thought it might be a valuation, but it's an enrollment.
It's both,
That's both.
yeah. Okay. So you gave us an update on CPC. Thank you, Dean. Any other liaison updates?
Nothing.
Okay. Approved minutes.
Yep.
She gave us 2 sets of
Two
minutes.
sets.
Okay. We have the minutes from February 5th and February 12th.
Right.
Any comments on the minutes?
Nope, I'm happy with them.
Good.
Right. Move we approve them.
The February 5th and February 12th?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Take a vote. Dean?
Abstain.
Abstain. Andy?
Yes.
John?
Abstain.
Gar?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And Sarah votes yes. Thank you.
Any card on minutes now?
Yes.
Goodness,
Better this year.
that's
Yeah.
unusual.
Okay, so our next meeting is with the school on February 26th. I suggest that we also start working on capital. Does that make sense? Because I don't think the school will take 2 hours.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to remote in from Florida.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm gonna be away, but I will try to remote in.
Okay. Okay.
When we have a meeting with the school,
Yes.
since we have no control over, what is the purpose, basically? I mean, we're sort of handed it, aren't we?
Well, we've had years where we've pushed back really hard on them. I think that we asked them to give us their budgeting philosophy, and I think that, I mean, this year they came in with a real high number,
Yeah.
Beginning.
You reported on
and
it.
then it dropped way down, so I think it's worth them explaining to us
Okay.
what they've done.
Psychology.
It's just to educate us more on how they're setting their
Yes.
budget, because there was a time when we pushed them.
Hmm.
And it's our opportunity to kind of give input as to,
So it's sort of been an evolution getting to this place. There was a time where they basically said, no, we're not going, you come to our meetings.
right,
And that got a little uncomfortable. And then, and I think it's been very beneficial to have Pam here to basically just say, like, how do you guys find insurance and what are you worried about? What are the triggers that might send this budget on and off the rails? And it's been a very, very useful back and forth.
It's been a good
And I think we're
relationship.
lucky to have it, and I think we want to keep, I think we really want to hang on to this meeting. It's important. It's a huge element of our town budget.
Yes.
because I don't
And
believe they're
Half
gonna have
of the
6 million.
cost.
Thank you, Lauren.
No.
Yeah.
That's
So-
helpful.
Okay.
For, if we do get into capital at the next meeting, would you be starting at the top, working your way down the list? Which capital items should we
I
prepare for?
think that, I think what we need to do with capital is to understand the funding of the items that are on the list. And figure out, is it affordable, have a discussion about how many years the bonds would be, perhaps what the difference would be if there was different years used. And to kind of you gave us something last week or something about how they're spread out.
Right.
I think it would also be helpful to know what's hitting the fiscal year 27 taxes from the prior bond authorization.
Right.
And just kind of discuss that a little bit and then see if we're comfortable with that and then look at the underlying items to see. And I think we also should talk about what capital items it makes sense to have paid by taxation and what we should bond. I mean, we may wish to come up with some number of saying if a capital item is under X amount, it should be paid from taxation. I don't know, but I think that's a discussion that's worth having. Whether we resolve anything or not, I don't know.
And maybe touching to the extent we can on, the stuff that's been happening in the facilities planning
Yes,
committee.
yes, that would be real helpful.
Yeah.
Will you be able to talk to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that too and just kind of set the table and kind of seal, because we've had discussions on all these items.
Yeah, we've already
Right.
gone through them, yeah.
Right. And we didn't take a vote, we didn't really we had nobody, you know.
But Andrea, I'd be particularly sensitive, what's hiding in the past that's suddenly going to hit the tax rate? Because I've lost track of that.
Yes, and I included that in that spreadsheet that I sent.
Okay.
And the other discussion is gonna be how much of this bond to put outside of the cap or within the 2.5% cap.
That's paying for tax.
Right, how much of the bond payments will be outside of the tax rate versus within the 2.5%? You know, we don't wanna have an override bond, but.
Well, that's why we haven't voted for debt service yet.
Right.
Because the debt service is a piece that's within the tax rate.
Right.
Yeah. And we probably need to have a conversation about the cash exclusion and the impact that has on the tax rate, because based on the proposal, we're reducing the cash exclusion, which is meaning that the projected tax increase for 2027 is 2-point-something%, not 2.5. Because
I don't follow that. Could you say it once more? I'm not with you.
Because we've decreased the amount of the cash exclusion.
Right.
The cash exclusion is approved outside of Prop 2.5.
Oh, yes.
And because
That's
we've
right.
decreased that amount, then the increase in taxes is lower because we're not having a portion of that. So I think we need to have a discussion
Yes, all of that.
on that, which then means the impact of the bonding isn't as great if you're using
Mm-hmm,
almost 0.5%,
mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
from the reduced tax rate, which isn't a reduction, but you know. So I think we need to have that whole discussion too, so that people are comfortable with that and just kind of talk it through, because I think it's very important what the impact is on the overall tax rate.
Yes, very important.
But yet we also don't want to spread projects out so far that we're paying them for the rest of our lives when we have other projects coming on.
Yeah.
I'd like to
We've got a lot of
discuss
projects.
putting the PFAS plant in the enterprise fund as well. Fund it through the enterprise fund.
Yep, we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
What portion is, what enterprise funds are available for funding things, yeah. Okay, anything else on capital that people want to make sure we hit on so that Andrea's kind of prepared?
No.
Okay,
Not for me, anyway.
and I think that will go a long way towards having us figure out what to do.
Yeah, we will also have the school business landing in here somewhere.
Yep.
So, you know, we're talking about our own debt, we're talking about all of that.
Right.
But this is also gonna affect individual households, so
Right,
we need to.
well, the long-term stuff we've been doing, we gotta dig that up again. Because I noticed that was in, the 25-year plan was in last year's FinCom report. And we haven't talked about that recently,
No, it's been a while.
so.
It's because it shows a problem.
We've been working on current budget
Busy on
stuff.
other things.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Yeah.
See Andy?
Very good, Sarah. Nice job tonight.